Hi, Richard Sawyer here. Today I want to give you an overview on how to use mail merge in Spinalogic. Now this is how to get your patient data into your documents. Now mail merge is an extremely powerful tool in Microsoft Word and in other word processors, but we're going to be talking about Microsoft Word. So let me first explain just exactly what it is. The basic concept is you have a list of records, which would be, for example, patient information, and then you take that list of records and you join it with a document template, and then you'll get a set of documents based on that template that contain the information that was in that list of records. So you'll end up with a total number of documents merged together that's the same as the number of records you started with. Okay, so that's sort of on a theoretical level. Let's have a look at a bit more detail on how that works. But first I want to talk about why you would want to use it. Mail merge is an extremely powerful tool and allows you to make your documents fully personalized. For example, your letter of welcome can say Dear John instead of Dear Patient. When you create an exercise program for your patients and you print out a document explaining how to do the exercise, you can actually have exercise for John Smith written on the exercise program. That obviously makes it more personalized, but it also means that if your patient leaves a document lying around somewhere in your office, like they commonly do, then when you see that, you know who it is that's forgotten to take their document with them, so you can follow up and make sure it gets to them. It's also handy if you want to make like mail merge letters that go out to your GP or any kind of a document at all. Second place that's very useful is to create a record update document. So it's important that you maintain accurate records and that your name is spelt correctly of your patients. You have their telephone number correct. You have their address correct. So it's very easy to create a record update document that will list all of this information, and then you can have a space next to it for the patients to complete if any of it is incorrect or if any of it's changed. And it'll be worth your while generating that for your patient, typically at least once a year. In fact, in a separate video, I'll show you how to create one of these. Another place you might use it is, say you have a list of people that owe you money, so you have a list of accounts receivable, and I hope that you don't get into that situation, but if you do and you want to take the list of names and addresses and merge them into a template so you can send a collection letter, then you can do that all in one step instead of having to create that letter separately for every single person that owes you some money. So mail merge is a very powerful tool. Let's talk a little bit about the list of records. So here's an example of a list of records, and you can see that each of the lines that is in this table represents one record. So the first record here, we have the first name is John, the last name is Smith, the address and the date of birth. Now each of the individual pieces of the record, so like the first name and the last name, are called fields. So this is the first name field here is John, the last name field here is Smith. And this record could be, list of records could be as long as you want. It could have just one record in it, or it could have 500 records. Here's an example of a document template. So you can see that at the top we have first name in little square brackets, little triangular brackets, and then last name. So when we fill this in with real information, you can see that there the first name has been replaced with the word John, and the last name has been replaced with the word Smith, and the address has been replaced with the actual address. And you can see it says Dear first name, so it's merged in John to there, so now it says Dear John. Our records show your date of birth to be date of birth, and you can see it merges in the actual date of birth. So if you have the right information in your data source, in your list of records, then you can make a very specific letter that comes out looking very personalized and can say exactly what you want. So this is your document template, and those individual little bits in the triangular brackets are called fields. Let's talk a little bit more about your list of records. It's also called your data source, and it could be in many different forms. The most relevant to Spinalogic are two. You could have your data source could be a text file, and this is used by Spinalogic to create the merge record for when it's merging information into the document templates. And I'll explain in detail how to set this up in a separate video. That file is called merge.txt, and when Spinalogic creates that, it has just one record. There's only one record for one patient. If you're merging from a report, then what you do is you convert your report into an Excel spreadsheet, and then you would use that Excel spreadsheet as your data source. And again, I will show you how to do that in a separate video, and we'll look at the specific case of accounts receivable. Now, before you start, to be able to do your mail merge, you must have Microsoft Word XP 2003, 2007, or 2010 installed. Spinalogic is not compatible with Microsoft Word 2000 and earlier versions, only from XP forward. Now, XP and 2003 are very similar in the way they look. They have a very similar menu, and everything is works much the same. But for 2007 and 2010, the menu has changed, so it looks quite different. In fact, the actual underlying mail merge engine that Word uses is pretty much identical. It really hasn't changed. It's just the way that it looks is different in the menu. But I'll explain what those differences are as we come to them. So these are the basic steps. First of all, you have to create your data source, because if you've got nothing to merge, then you've got nothing to merge. So your data source will be that text file or that Excel file. Then you create your letter template. You must connect your letter template back to the data source, so now your letter template knows what data source to use. So of course it could attach to many different ones. You've got to specify which one it's actually connecting to. Once you've done that, you need to add those fields. They're the little parts in the triangular brackets, like first name and last name. You've got to add those fields into your letter template, showing, and they're sort of like place markers on where that information from each record is going to go into your final document. And then your last step is to actually merge your data source into your letter template, and then you will get your final documents. So they'll come out either as a list of separate documents, a bunch of documents that are stored in a folder, or you could send them directly to the printer. So rather than actually saving the document, you could just send them directly to a printer, and that's up to you. That's an easy choice that you have when you get to that point. But they're essentially your 5 steps: create your data source, create your letter template, connect the letter template back to the data source, add the fields into your letter template that match up with the fields that you got in your data source, and then to merge your data source into your letter template to end up with your final document or set of documents. So for details on how to do that for the 2 scenarios that are relevant to Spinalogic, then have a look at the specific mail merge videos, and you should find links to those below. And for general information on how to actually do mail merge and to understand it better, because I've just given you a quick summary, and I've really explained it very much in the context of what's relevant to Spinalogic. But if you want to learn more, if you want to look at it and get a better understanding, then Microsoft have a great free online tutorial on mail merge. Just Google mail merge 2003 if you're using Word 2003, or if you're using Word 2010, then you will Google obviously mail merge 2010, and you'll find the entry at or very close to the top will be exactly what you're looking for. So that's the overview. I hope you found that useful. Please put a post down below here to let me know if you have found this actually helpful for you, or if you've got anything that maybe you think I've missed that would be useful to someone who's doing this, then feel free to add that in below for viewers to be able to refer to. And go and have a look at the other videos on details on how to do the mail merge in those specific cases.